you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a book review on Cinder. So if you're interested, if you've read this book, if you haven't, if you want to know if you should read this book, stick around. I'll probably be spoiling a little bit, not like on purpose, but just because like in doing a book review it's hard not to spoil. So if you don't want any spoilers, maybe this isn't the video for you. With that being said, here's kind of like what I'm gonna talk about in this video. Here's kind of the rundown. I made my typical book review on my iPad. I wrote it all out, so I'm gonna tell you guys the day I started reading, the day I finished reading, and then how many days total. I'll do the math so you don't have to. I'll give you guys like a summary of what I thought the book was, some recurring themes and metaphors that I saw. I'll tell you guys relationships and character growth that stuck out to me, and then overall what I thought, and then if I recommend and if I would read again. So let's just jump right into it. So I started reading this book July 9th, 2023, and I finished reading this book September 2nd, 2023. So overall it took me 55 days. And I will say that I should have finished this one faster. I like to annotate my books when I read, which means like I like to highlight anything that sticks out to me, anything that I want to comment on, any definitions I need to know, or anything like that. So it takes me a little bit longer to read, but this book was more of an easy read, and I just didn't pick it up as much as I should have, so therefore it took me a little bit longer. So it took me 55 days. But also I feel like the fact that I didn't want to pick it up as much as I should have says something about the book itself. So I feel like it still like should be incorporated in the time it took. Yeah. A summary of the book, I'll give you guys like a summary of what I think it is just standing right here, and then I'll read you guys what I wrote, like just because I know it makes sense because I've thought about it and put it on paper here, and when I just word vomit at you guys, I don't know when it always makes sense. So I'll give you guys my best, and then I'll read what I actually wrote earlier. Cinder is about this girl who's part cyborg, and she lives in the city New Beijing, and she it's very loosely based off Cinderella. So she lives with her mean stepmother and her stepsisters. She's actually friends with one of her stepsisters, not like one of them's not mean, and her stepsister gets like ill. She like catches like the plague that's going around, and Cinder gets blamed for this and gets shipped away to a cyborg draft where she's tested and whatever for a cure for this disease, like lutomosis. I don't know how to say it, but they also call it the plague. She gets tested for it, and it turns out that she's immune to it, so she gets secretly like paid for her samples of blood, I guess, to see what's so immune about her and the disease, and if they can make a cure for everyone. And yeah, she starts to get involved with the prince, aka the emperor, because his father, the original emperor, passes away due to the same disease, and so he's hanging around the doctor a lot, trying to like figure out a cure because he's about to be the leader to the new town. And Queen Labina, who is the queen on the moon, is like, I'm gonna come down and help you guys out. I'm gonna come down to Earth now. And everyone's like, no, we don't like you. And she's like, no, I'm gonna come down. We're gonna make an agreement. We're gonna get married, like, to the prince. And the prince is like, no. So that's all going on. And Cinder is basically trying to find a cure for her stepsister. She's trying to escape her stepmother. She low-key has feelings for this handsome prince, but she doesn't even admit it to herself. And as the story goes on, she finds more and more out about her past, which becomes more and more relevant to the future of their town and the future of their story. So yeah, let me read to you guys what I wrote. A cyborg girl in New Beijing works as a mechanic for her awful stepmother until being blamed for her stepsister's unexpected illness. Her stepmother uses this situation as an opportunity to get rid of her and sends her off to be tested in a cyborg draft at the palace, where it is discovered that she is immune to the plague disease, taking so many lives, including the emperor. She begins to spend much of her time with Dr. Erlin, who is paying her for her immune blood samples, and Prince and soon-to-be emperor, who grows quite fond of Cinder. As the story goes on, we learn more and more about Cinder's past and the future of their town commonwealth, and how these two things are more correlated than Cinder or anyone else could have thought. So yeah, do with that information what you will. That's kind of my summary of the novel without spoiling too much, but like you have a general idea of what's going on, and just keep in mind it's loosely based off Cinderella. Some reoccurring themes and metaphors I saw. As for reoccurring themes and metaphors, I noticed a lot of "for the greater good" comments and choices. I noticed this multiple times from multiple different characters. In the beginning, when Cinder's stepsister Peony like gets like the spots all over her, that kind of signals that she's caught the plague. Cinder doesn't want to see her go because she knows if she calls a calm, that means Peony will be taken away and most likely killed. But also the disease is so contagious that she has to save like herself and everyone else in the town. So for the greater good, she should call the calm, you know? So that was like one of the first examples we see. But we also see the prince, basically the prince's whole character is deciding what he should do because he wants to, or what he should do because it's for the good of the town, or both, or neither. So it's like he has to work with those decisions a lot. And then also Dr. Erland, who's kind of a bigger character than you initially think. He knows a lot that he can't even tell the prince. He doesn't even tell Cinder. He keeps a lot to himself, and he makes a lot of his decisions even though they're hard for the greater good, such as the cyborg draft, which we find out like was only for Cinder. So all those cyborg lives thought that they were doing the best thing because it's better than humans getting taken and tested, but really it was just to find Cinder, so for the greater good, because she is also someone else. I'm just gonna spoil, she's also Princess Celine, and they needed to find Princess Celine literally to save their town because they needed to find her really badly, and they knew she was still out there. They held the cyborg draft because Dr. Erland knew that she was part cyborg, but in doing that, yes, you're gonna find her and save the town hopefully, but also you're like losing a lot of innocent cyborg lives. So it's a strange balance. This is kind of what I wrote. Personally, I found many, if not all, characters making sacrifices for what was, in their opinion, the greater good. A few examples of this could be as small as Cinder deciding to send comms from the junkyard after Peony finds plague spots. Even though she knew they'd take her stepsister, she felt as though protecting the rest of the people around them was what had to be done. Or Dr. Erland conducting a cyborg draft in order to find the lost princess and overthrow the evil queen, even though many innocent cyborgs would die in the process. This theme is also super prevalent in Prince/Emperor Kai's character when it came to doing what was best for his country, even if it negatively impacted himself as an individual. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. And then when it comes to relationships and character growth that stuck out, one that stuck out to me was, like I said earlier in the video, Peony and Cinder, which is just Cinder's stepsister. And Cinder, she was kind of the sister in the beginning, like who wasn't like the stereotypical Cinderella story, like evil stepsister. She actually was friends with Cinder, and she was treated specially like her other stepsister, and like treated like she was loved, versus Cinder like being abandoned and bullied by her stepmother. She was treated like that. She did have special treatment. She did have a special gown made for the ball, but she still like found it in her to make a friend within Cinder, and she didn't like rub in the fact that she had wealth or she had special treatment and Cinder didn't. So I thought that dynamic was interesting, especially because it's different from the stereotypical situation we usually see. Another relationship that stuck out to me was actually Cinder and the Dr. Erland, and not in a weird way. At first I didn't know if I liked him just because like he couldn't even remember like his like assistants' names, and I was like, who is this guy just like doing cyborg drafts? Like I don't know if I like him, don't know if I vibe with that. But later, as we get to know him, you can tell he truly cares about Cinder and truly cares about overthrowing the queen because of what she did to, we find out like his backstory, what she did to his daughter. She's the reason his daughter was killed, because his daughter was a shell. So basically that's going into a whole nother like topic of the story, but it's basically like Queen Lavina didn't want any shells, and so she wanted them all like taken away and killed, and Dr. Erland's wife agreed, and so his daughter was taken away and killed. And so since then he like wanted to get back at this horrible person, this horrible queen, and so he's conducting a cyborg draft to find Princess Celine, because finding her would mean overthrowing the queen. So, when he opens up to that about Cinder, like, I thought it was very special, and it's almost as though, like, she felt like the lost daughter that he never had, and she's not his daughter. Like, after finishing the book, I found out, like, I was like, oh, maybe she's his lost daughter, but that's not the case. She's just someone that he really bonded with, and it's a very father-daughter dynamic, and it's special because even when Cinder had, like, a father for a second, he died, and all she really remembered was her stepmother. So I just thought it was kind of cute. And then he, like, got to bond with Cinder, and he never got to meet his daughter get that old, you know? So it was just, like, a special little relationship that I thought was cute and sweet. And they both know things about each other that no one else knows. Like, they don't tell the prince, they don't tell Cinder's family. Like, they only know with each other. And so it's very, like, very sweet. I like that. I like the dynamic that they have. And another relationship I saw was the relationship between Cinder and Kai. Of course, it's a little romantic. It's a little like flirty, but also I like that ultimately they just had a friend within each other. I like that Kai truly cared about Cinder and what was going on in her life, even though he also cared about, like, everything else on his plate, like his father dying and being the new emperor and taking over Queen Lavina and all that. Like, he still made time to care about this mechanic that he met. And I also like that she felt for him, what he was going through, and felt that burden and, like, empathized with him and wanted to help him any way she could. And so ultimately, yeah, it was cute and flirty, but, like, they also had each other to talk to when otherwise they would be alone. So it was sweet. And finally, the relationship between Kai and his advisor, his royal advisor, it was just, he was such a wise guy, and he was so friendly, and he gave him, like, advice, but he also watched out for him. It's giving, to me, if you've seen Sophia the First, the children's show, it's giving, like, Bailiwick, like the old royal advisor who knows best, like, you know, you should listen to him. And I just thought it was a cute little detail. I thought it was sweet and fun. This is what I wrote for, like, the relationship bit. The relationship between Cinder and Peony, unlike the typical Cinderella stepsister dynamic, wholesome. The relationship between Cinder and Dr. Erlin, as we learn about the characters, it feels more and more like father-daughter relationship that either of them hadn't had much of up until this point. The relationship between Cinder and Kai, slightly romantic, but I like the friendship and sense of comfort they provide for each other. And the relationship between Kai and his advisor, Torin, I love that his advisor was so nice and they had much trust and respect for each other. Okay, overall about this book. Here's where I might throw you off. Overall, I actually thought it was, like, a really simple book, a really easy read. It wasn't very emotionally complex. The metaphors were very direct. I honestly found some of the vocabulary that the author Marissa Meyer used to be a little bit inaccurate. Like, I did research. I was like, what does this word mean? And I would research, and I'm like, this doesn't really fit in the sentence that she's using it in. So I felt, not often, but a few times, I found some inaccurate, like, vocabulary that just, like, didn't sit right with me. I did think it was good. I thought it was a cute story. I thought it was fun to read. I thought it was entertaining. I don't know how I feel about the ending being like, Cinder's story's not finished, read the next book. That's just a series, and I knew I was getting myself into a series, but I guess I didn't think that I'd have to read the rest of the books to, like, understand everything. But unfortunately, I'll probably have to keep reading the series if I want to know, like, what happens next. It doesn't, like, end, like, at a perfect little bow. Like, it ends needing to be continued. It felt like just the end of a chapter. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was cute. I enjoyed it. I had fun reading, but, like, did I think it was the most intelligent book I've ever read? No. Did I think it was the most well-written? No. Yeah, that's kind of it. Like, it wasn't bad at all, but it wasn't anything, like, insane or amazing, I guess. This is what I wrote. Overall, I thought it was a fairly easy read, and I found it also to be extremely predictable. That's true. I literally knew everything that was going to happen. The messages in the story were far from complete. However, the story was entertaining and fun nonetheless. I found Cinder and plenty of the characters to be easily lovable, with the exception of Cinder's lack of self-worth to be repetitive and almost whiny at times. I did find that annoying, like, when she was like, he can't like me, I'm a useless nobody, but she said that, like, 50 times. I was like, girl, maybe you're somebody. Like, stop being so hard on yourself, find some confidence. And I understand, like, that's part of her character and how she grew up, and that fits in this Cinderella dynamic, but it was just getting old for me. So yeah, I said, with the exception of Cinder's lack of self-worth to be repetitive and almost whiny at times, ultimately I found the story cute, and due to the way that the novel ended with so much up in the air, I can definitely see myself continuing this series in the future. Lastly, I found some of Marissa Meyer's vocabulary to be strange or out of context from the situation at hand. It was not the most complex book I've ever read, but inarguably the story is lovable and enjoyable. So finally, I'll get to do I recommend. I said, for a lower age range, as an intro to dystopian or futuristic style, or to be engaged with the series. So if there's someone younger than me, maybe in high school, maybe middle school, who was like, I really want to read a series, what's a good series? I haven't read the rest of the books, but I would recommend starting with Cinder because it makes you want to continue reading the series. Or if someone just likes dystopian novels, this isn't necessarily dystopian, maybe it is, but it's very futuristic, and so if someone's into that type of book and they're like a little bit at a lower reading level or a little bit younger, or they're in like an intro reader, then I would definitely recommend this book because it's cute and lovable and fun. But like, would I give it to one of my friends to read? Not necessarily, you know. And then I said, would I read again? Probably not, but I did like it and I did enjoy it. I thought it was a very cute read. So yeah, that was my honest book review on Cinder by Marissa Meyer. If you have any book recommendations of what I should read next, I do have a TBR of a ton of books that I'm trying to make my way through, but I can always add to that list. So if there's any book that you want me to read or do a review on, please leave in the comments below. I'm really into classics right now, so I'm probably going to get back on the classic grind now that I finished Dune and I finished Cinder. And I'm really excited to keep reading. I know exactly what I'm reading next, and I'm about to start it today, but you guys will see when the book review comes out, I guess. I won't announce that. So yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please subscribe, like, share every single thing. Fellow book lovers, share to your friends. It really helps me out. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!